The Reaper's got a black streak. America's best drones are being shot down all over the world. And, for example, Russian rap music is suspected in the downing of a -9 Malawian Kwacha's rapper in Poland. Also, the test of the US AGM-183A RRAW hypersonic missile turned out to be a mere piffle. They carry mock-ups instead of real missiles. But one thing at a time. All in all, something has not been lucky lately for the US MQ-9 Reaper drone. Called the Reaper, the main workhorse of the US fleet of reconnaissance and strike drones. Then the Houthis will pick up a modernized Soviet Cub from a modernized Soviet Cub, then rebellious Iraqi Shiites from a portable anti-aircraft system, then Russian fighter bombers will be thrown into the desert with flare bombs. In total, the Americans have more than 100 of these vehicles, and the last batch was ordered about 10 years ago. So it is a valuable resource, not infinite anymore, and also very much in demand. What's not to say about optics? The electronics and payload of this vehicle are at a high technological level. In current equipment, each such machine can reach up to $60 million in cost, which is slightly less than a modern budget fighter of Generation 4+. And in the last few months alone, Americans have lost 5 units. Oh, and there were a number of flying accidents that were simply overlooked in the current news flow. A real black streak. One important feature of the -9 Malawian Kwacha's repeater is its ability to carry up to 1.5 tons of weapons, including guided bombs and Hellfire missiles. Some of the war reporters there even suggested that the Reapers were the order of some secret anti-American forces. I wonder who that could be? The case is, of course, much clearer than that, though. Just like the Bayraktar TV-2s made famous in local wars, American drones are a nice and convenient target for any developed mobile air defense systems. A huge, silent fool 11 meters long and with a wingspan of up to 20 meters, completely defenseless from the air. Once they started facing a more technologically advanced opponent, they immediately felt the effects of Bayraktar in the spring of 2022. At that time, dozens of drones of this model were swept out of the sky in a matter of days when air defense systems targeted them. The Americans are much more dangerous to deal with, and best of all, the same MQ-9 Reaper is protected by the US Air Force emblem. But when such a psychological threshold is passed, then the magic of the Reapers immediately ends. Here's if anyone is interested in the technical specs, the MQ-9 Reaper in an infographic by the Russian Ministry of Defense. A drone that landed hard near the Polish town of Myroslojek in the second half of March 2024. In a series of these losses stands out. It was flying strictly over Poland and went into a sharp descent only because of loss of communication with the base station. Myroslojek itself is located far from the eastern borders, more than 300 kilometers from Kaliningrad. The fact is that an information campaign is now being actively fanned in Poland on the powerful impact of Russian electronic warfare equipment on its territory. They write that they're almost testing some new global system there. It all started in the 20s of January this year, and by pure coincidence, coincided with the beginning of Global NATO Maneuvers State Fest Defender 2024. At first, the Poles magically lost cell phone and internet service in the area of the famous Suwałki corridor. Then such shutdowns of small localized areas occurred in different locations. Polish newspapermen were tearing their teeth out claiming a radio-electronic invasion, but the political authorities were silent. Soon the baton was picked up by the British, who for some reason decided to go for it. That their freshly minted and on his way out Defense Minister Grand Sheps is somehow of special interest to the Russian secret services, who irradiated his plane with special invisible rays. The aircraft allegedly lost contact with ground services and was saved only thanks to the pilot's skill. Now, some Polish experts claim that exactly the same impact was made on the American combat drone. From such treatment, the one became dull, sat down hard in the Polish countryside, and most likely will be disposed of. I'd like to believe, of course, that ours did it. The sequel follows. Well, now let's move on to American hypersonics. Perhaps the strangest action in the development of the hypersonic race between the world's biggest players is now taking place in the Pacific Ocean, where the Americans have been promising to launch their AGM-183A RRAW hypersonic missile for 2 months in a row, about once a week, and even suspended it from the wing of their old B-52 battlecruiser. But each time, just the day before, the launch was postponed. And so a few days ago, the launch took place and it was recognized for providing a unique laboratory experience. Start. The point here is that the AGM-183A missile is a dead project, back in the spring of 2023, devoid of any subsidy. It will definitely not be resuscitated, also for the reason that these missiles are too large and not suitable for the new B-21 Raider bomber. There were still working prototypes left that wanted to be used for laboratory purposes, but they hang the missile from old strata fortresses as if trying to simply simulate such a weapon to use it as a dimensional mock-up. Until a couple of years ago, This missile was considered to be virtually the official first swallow of American hypersonics. It held this status for 5 years and, having been stripped of funding in March of 23, passed such an honorary title to another project with the same wizened-coded name LRHW. This versatile missile is designed for mobile, land-based, and versatile shipboard installations and is also commonly known by its own name Dark Eagle, meaning Dark Eagle. Miracles have been happening with the Dark Eagle for the 5th year already, but they have not helped the development of the program in any way. 3 years ago, without having yet completed a single test flight, the LRHW missiles and mobile launcher were adopted into service, and the U.S. military officially had specialized military units that had to haul on. On the transporters are the same models, but made with a very high degree of authenticity. Things were a little worse. The last attempt to get a Dark Eagle to fly was recorded in October 23. After another failure, the developers said the rocket would be tested in the winter of the 24th. But now these tests have been postponed to the fall, and there, as they say, and the new year is just around the corner. Experts say there are systemic problems with LRHW, the same ones that caused them to have to withdraw from the project, and GM-183 separately. All tests of nodes and blocks are carried out in normal mode gives promising indicators. But it is worth to combine the whole construction into a rocket. It refuses to fly normally. Another timid attempt to develop an aircraft-based hypersonic missile was the HCM program. For the first time, the information about the beginning and secret realization came in the 22nd year, but the work had begun 2 years before that. Here the Americans have decided, special miracles as with in GM-183 with a speed above 15 mach, not to promise, and go the road already beaten by the Russians. That is, create a Dagger-type aero-ballistic missile and launch it from a suitably fast platform. The updated F-15E series was identified as such. HATSM didn't catch stars from the sky, even in the draft. Its creators promised a speed of only Mach 7 and a range of up to 1,000 kilometers. For 2 years has been made a lot of beautiful virtual presentations and renderings, but just a few days ago, working on the project teams from Wrighton and Northrop Grumman advised the native military department, test serious until 2025, do not wait. Naturally, no one has even seen a working prototype yet. So it turns out that with a high probability that in 2024 the Americans will not have any serial hypersonic missiles. That's how they're going to roll the mock-ups all year. After the proud and poor Yemeni Houthis, who seem to have a cross and a calfskin hidden under their clothes, announced that they would soon test a rocket with the speed of Mach 8. Anyway, this story is starting to sound like an anecdote.